Welcome to the How To Studio. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can use Microsoft Excel. This is the Microsoft Excel tutorial for beginners. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Whether you need to know Microsoft Excel for school or for work or for your personal use, this video will show you everything you need to know to use Microsoft Excel so that you can be confident and proficient in using Microsoft Excel. Now let's jump into the video. Single Excel file is referred to as a workbook or a spreadsheet. Now a spreadsheet has at least one sheet. As you can see, we have one sheet here, but if we wanted to, we can add another sheet by clicking this plus button, and here we see sheet 2. But you can always rename this. Just double click on it and all the text is highlighted. Then you can write the new name for your sheet 2 here. You can go ahead and add more sheets. For example, I want to name this one data 3, and you can add as many sheets as you need to so that you have different sheets. You can also rearrange this sheet, so if you wanted to bring sheet 1 in the middle here, you can just drag it and drop it, or if you want to delete one of the sheets, you can just right click on it and then you click on delete. As you can see, there are multiple boxes on this spreadsheet. Now, each of these boxes are called cells. So this is a single cell, and each cell has an address. So as you can see here, this is the address, G5, and how did we come about that? So G5 comes because we are at column G and row 5. And if you take a look, you see that it's highlighted. The G is highlighted and also the 5 is highlighted. So if I wanted to go to D3, then I would go to column D, row 3. And let's say I wanted to go to L22, I can do that easily with this shortcut. I can just put in L22 here and my cell would just automatically go there. So I'm just going to double click on this and I'm going to type L22 and I'm going to press enter. As you can see, it is column L, row 22. In these cells, you can type text, numbers, or symbols. So for practical example, I'm going to create a book inventory where I have the different types of book, the prices, how many have been sold, how many remaining, and how many profit I've made. So I'm going to start in row 1. So as we mentioned before, these are rows and these are columns. So we have row 1, 2, 3. And we have column A, B, C, and so forth. So I'm going to start from row 1. And in row 1, column A, row 1, I'm going to put my name of book. And in column B, I'm going to put number of books. And I'm going to put the amount of books sold, the amount remaining, and as you can see, when I'm typing, you can see that in column D here, the text expounds and goes over to column E, and it gives the impression that it's sharing space with column E, but it's actually not. If I click on column D, you see that it's in the formula bar, it tells you the text. But if I click on column E, it doesn't show the text. So that tells you that it's only in column D, although it seems to be taking a piece of column E, but that's not the case. So I'm going to continue and I'm going to put the price and I'm going to put the cost and my profit. Okay, so as you can see, some of my texts are cut off, but there's good news. I can actually expand the column so that all of my text show, and I'm going to do that by going up and I'm going to drag to the right to expand it, and I'm going to do the same for this one as well. Number of books. As you can see, this one is kind of long compared to the others. Like this one is really long. So what I could do, if I don't want it to be long, let's say I want all the columns to have a similar width, what I can do is I can click on this entire column, and then in my home tab I want to go to wrap text. So you're going to click on wrap text, And what that does, it actually pushes the text down into the next line so that we maintain the space, the width. So I don't have a long width for this particular cell. And I'm gonna fix it for this one as well, because this is kind of cutting off. And I can just, and as you can see, as I'm dragging, you see a number at the top and it tells you how much width it is. So if you want the widths to be exactly the same, you can set it to the same for every cell. But right now I'm just ballparking it just so it looks as constant as possible and they don't look like they're differentiating too much. Okay, so you can do that. And the next thing I want to do is I want to center my text, because this looks kind of weird. It's left aligned and it just doesn't look so good. So I'm going to center align it, and I'm going to do it for all of these texts because this is left aligned. I want it to be in the center. So I'm just going to highlight the entire row 1 and then make sure you're in your home tab, and then you're going to click on center. Okay, now it's looking a little bit better. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead to do now, I'm just going to add the names of my book. I'm just going to do generic book names. Book B, book C, book D. So I'm just going to add 2 more here. And book F. Okay. So let's say I have 20 books in stock for all of these. So if I put 20 here, and I'm gonna put 20 again for the next row. After you put in the text, all you have to do is press enter on your keyboard for it to go to the next cell. So I've put 20 and I'm gonna put 20, keep putting 20. But let's say I don't wanna just keep pressing 20 all the time. What you can do is you can highlight these 2 20s, and then right at the end where there's this little box, you put your cursor there and you see this plus sign, and you just drag it down to F. And you can see it fills it with the rest of the 20. Now, let's say that for book A, I have sold 10 books, and book B, I've sold 5, sold 3, I sold 18, and I've sold 20, and I've sold 1. Okay, so now for the amount of books remaining, my amount of books remaining would be the amount in stock less the amount sold. So instead of manually calculating this, I can actually use Excel's formula to calculate this. So we're going to use a formula. So to use the formula, the first thing you want to do is press the equal sign on your keyboard, and then for book A, where you have the number of books in stock, so that's column B, row 2, click on it and you see it selects it for you. Then you're going to put the minus sign, and then book A, the amount of books sold, so that's column C, row 2, and you click on it. And so what this is saying, that this cell is going to calculate for you the number of books in stock minus the amount of books sold to give you the amount remaining. And once you've selected these, then you're just going to click on the enter key. And then as you can see, it's 10. 20 minus 10 is 10. And easy for you, what you should do is use you should just drag it and just look for the little dot that is here, hover over it, and you're just going to drag it down, and it's going to automatically populate the rest of figures for you. So now if you look, 20 minus 5 is 15, 20 minus 3 is 17. And if you click on each of these cells, you can see that the formula has applied. So I initially applied the formula to this column D, row 2. And when I used this key to drag it down, it applied the formula for all the other rows. So that made it quick and easier for you. And if you click on any of these cells here, you can see the formula in here. B7 minus C7. So this B7 minus C7. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the prices. So for the prices, I'm going to say this one was $10, this one was $15, This one was $10, $10, $20, and $15. So here you can see in the number section under home, you can see the dollar sign. So I'm just going to highlight all of this, and then I'm just going to click the dollar sign. And now you can see the dollar sign is applied, and you can see it on the prices. But I don't want it to have these two decimal places, so I'm just going to click this arrow here, and I'm just going to click on, actually there's a little shortcut here that lets us increase or decrease the decimal spacing, so we're just going to go ahead with that to decrease it. So now I don't have any decimal place in here for my dollar amount. So as you can see, there's a space between my dollar sign and the my actual value of my money, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. So all you have to do is highlight this entire block that needs to be fixed, that has a space in here. Highlight the entire thing, and then here where it says accounting, you're going to click on this arrow, and then you're going to change it to currency. And now you can see it looks more normal, and I'm going to decrease the decimals again so I don't have any decimals there. Okay, so now we have normal pricing. I can always like use the alignment to change the way how it's aligned. So I'm gonna go ahead with my cost now, and my cost is gonna be less than my price, so I'm just gonna go ahead with 5 and press enter, and I'm gonna go with 4 and press enter. So I'm just gonna make sure that this is saying currency, and I'm going to decrease the number of decimals, and then I'm just going to go 6, 8, 9, 7. Okay, so now I'm going to calculate my profit, and my profit is going to be my price minus my cost. So I'm just going to press on my keyboard the equal sign, then I'm going to press on my price, and I'm going to minus it from my cost, and then press enter on the keyboard. Now we have $5 because that's 10 minus 5 is $5, and I'm just going to drag this downward so that this formula can be applied to all of my books. So as you can see, 50 minus 4 is $11, 10 minus 6 is $4, so I can see all of my profits. And again, if I click, you can see that the formula has been applied. So for this case, it's E6 minus F6, so that's E6 minus F6, as you can see. You can use Excel formulas so that you can quickly calculate the results that you need, instead of having to manually calculate everything and grabbing a calculator to calculate it. Now that we have our inventory, what if we want to calculate the total number of books we have in stock, the total amount sold, and the total amount remaining? So I'm going to use Excel formulas again to calculate this. So in column A, row 9, I'm going to put total here, and then I'm going to calculate the total for each of these columns. So I'm going to use a formula. I'm going to use a sum formula, and that is to just enter the equal on your keyboard. All formulas usually start with the equal sign, so you start with your equal sign, and then you type sum, and then you put in the open bracket, and then this is where you're going to select your range of cells that you want to sum up. So for this range, the range is from B2 to B7, and this is a sum that I want to calculate. So now that I've entered my range, I'm gonna press enter. Now my sum is 120 for all the books I have in stock. Now I could go ahead and do the formula again, put in the equal sign, sum, open bracket, and then select the range of all of my amounts sold and press enter. I could do that, or what's easier for me to do is click, because this already has a formula, I can just drag it across to create me the total for my amount sold, and I can go across as well for the amount remaining. Let's do that. So that's way easier than putting in the formula each time, because we already have the formula here. We can just drag it to apply it to the other columns. So now I can see that I have 120 books in stock. I have sold 57, and I have 63 books remaining. So now I have my price, my cost, and profit. So these values actually the price of a single book, and I need to find out the price of all of the books sold overall, the cost of all of the books sold overall, and the profit of all of the books sold overall. So what I want to do now, I want to edit these titles that I have in here. So how I'm going to edit it, if you try to type directly over it, then it's going to erase what you have existingly. So let's use the undo here to undo it. So I have my price. So what you want to do is you want to double click so that you can edit, and this is going to be price per book. And this one as well, you can double click it and put cost per book, or you can also edit it by just clicking it, and then you can type in here. So that's another way how you can edit it. And as you can see, this is it's cutting off a bit, so I'm just gonna do the wrap text for this, or I can just drag it a little bit so that it doesn't look cut off. So now that I have my price for each book, I want to know the price for the amount of books I sold. So I'm going to insert a column beside this one so that I can add the price of all the books sold. So how you do that, you select the entire column, then you right click and click on insert. It actually inserted the column to the left, and I wanted to insert it to the right. What I can do is I could just cut the text and paste it, or I can just use my shortcut Control X to cut and Control V to paste. Okay, so now I can have my price for all books, or overall price, whichever one. So now I'm going to click here to add a column for cost for all of the books as well, not just the cost per book. So I'm going to click on the column. I'm just going to click on the column here, and then I'm going to, actually I want to click on the column here, and then I'm going to click insert so that it inserts it to the right, and cost for all books. And then here I want overall profit. So now I have a bit more detail to my spreadsheet. I've added some more columns in here because I have some more data that I want to collect. Okay, so the price for the books sold, it will be the price for one book times the amount of books sold. So I'm going to use a formula here. So you put an equal sign, and I want the amount of books sold times the price per book. And then I'm gonna click the enter. So I have 100. I made $100 in all my book A. And then I'm just gonna drag it down to apply the formula to all of these. So now I have my total price for my books that I have sold. So I can just drag this along to get the total there. I don't need the price per book total, or maybe I will keep it. Maybe I'll find use for it so I can keep it. And I'm just gonna put currency here so that I can have the $sign. Okay. And then my cost per book, it's my cost for all the books sold is the amount of books sold times the cost of one book. So I'm just gonna put my equal sign, and then I'm gonna select for book A the amount sold, and I'm gonna multiply that by the cost of one book, and I'm gonna press enter. And I'm just gonna drag it down to apply it for all of these. Okay, now my overall profit is my profit that I have for one book times the total amount of books I sold. So that's an equal sign, and it's my amount of books sold times my profit for one book, and I'm gonna press enter. And now I'm gonna drag it down to apply it for all the books. And now if I drag across, I can see my profit, my total for all of these columns here. If I minus the price for all the books sold minus the cost for all the books sold, I'm gonna get the overall profit. So let's try that. Do the price for all the books sold minus the cost for all the books sold, I get my overall profit. So you can see that the Excel formula, it actually works and it's able to calculate things accurately. Now let's say I have a bookstore fee and I want to know what is my profit minus the fee. So I'm gonna put here bookstore fee, and I'm gonna put the value of the fee right here, $2. So I'm gonna put here profit less bookstore fee. So to get my profit less bookstore fee, I'm gonna put the equal sign, and I'm gonna add my profit. I'm gonna minus it from the bookstore fee and press enter. So as you can see, $50 minus $2 is $48. Now I'm gonna apply it to the rest of my books. Now, if you take a look, you'll see something strange here. You can see that it's the same value. It hasn't really minus the $2. Why is that? So if you look at the formula here, you see it says J3, which is J3, the $55, minus B13. So B13 is this cell, and it's 0. There's nothing there. And this one is J4, which is this one here, minus B14, which is nothing there. So it's applying the formula downwards. It's not keeping the 2 as a constant. But there's a way to fix this so that Excel knows that I want to apply the formula as a constant. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put a $sign in front of the column and in front of the row. And this way, this is a way of telling Excel that I want to keep this row as a constant. Now I'm gonna go ahead and press enter. And then I'm gonna drag it down. Now as you can see, it's now subtracting 2 from each of these. So instead of so 55 minus 2 is 53, 12 minus 2 is 10, and if I click on this, you see that it's saying J4 minus B12, which is this value right here. Okay, and I'm just going to drag across here to see what my total is, less my bookstore fee. So now that I have all my data, I'm going to format it a little bit so that it looks more presentable. I'm going to highlight the entire row and I'm going to bold it, or you can press on your keyboard Control and B so that it stands out a little bit more. And then I'm going to increase the font as well, or you can just put in the font number here or click here to select your font number, or you can just press this to increase and decrease your font size. So this looks a little bit better. I think I'm going to center align all of these. And then I'm going to put my totals in bold as well. And then I'm going to put a yellow highlight behind this row so that I can see my titles better and it's highlighted better, like that. And I'm gonna fix this right here. So now my spreadsheet looks a little bit better. Another thing that I wanted to mention in this Excel tutorial is the setup of Excel. So here in the first row here, we have what we call tabs. So you have different tabs, and inside each tab you have different groups, and the groups are differentiated by these vertical lines. This entire row is actually called a ribbon, and in the ribbon is different groups. You have your save function here and your undo button that you can use to undo what you've previously done. And this document is not saved unless you save it. So right now the document, your Excel file, is called book 2, but let's say I want to name it book inventory. So I need to save it and rename it. So how you do that is just to click on the save button, and then you're going to name your file and choose where you want to save it. So for now I'm just going to save it in the downloads, but you can choose where you want to save it, and I'm going to name my file, and then I'm going to click save. So now you can see that it says it's saving, and this is now book inventory, and it says it's saved to this PC. So each time you do your work, you want to make sure to click this save button to save your work, or you can use the shortcut Control+S on your keyboard to save it. And the first time you have to name it and choose where to save it, but the second time and third time and fourth time around, all you have to do is click the save button. So next thing I want to talk to you about in this Excel tutorial is split cell. So let's go to this sheet here. I have named this sheet split cell, and on this sheet I have some names. I'm going to put a space right between here, and I want to break them up into first name and last name. So instead of having to manually go in and put the person's first name and last name here when I already have their full name, I'm going to let Excel do that for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this range of the full name, so that is A2 to A6, and then I'm going to click on data, and then I'm going to click on text to columns, and then you want to make sure it's delimited selected, and then you want to go to next. And this is how you're going to say how you want the data to be separated. I want it to be separated by space. As you can see in the example here, it separates it into 2 columns there. Then I'm going to click on next, and it's asking me where I want my data to be placed. It is placing it in A2, but I actually want it to be placed in B2, so I'm going to change this from A2 to B2, and then I'm going to click finished. And as you can see, my data is now separated into 2 columns. So that's how you do the split cell in Excel. The next thing I wanted to show you in this Excel tutorial is how to filter and sort. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight all these books here, and then I'm going to click on the filter function. Make sure that you're in the data tab, and then you click on filter. And as you can see, there's this little drop down tab here that you can use to sort the different data. So if you want to sort from A to Z or Z to A, you can sort by that. Or if you want to only see book B and book C, or you only want to see book E, you can do that. Okay, so for example, let's say I only want to see book D and E, so that I can compare them. I'm going to click on the select all option, then I'm going to click book D and E, and then I'm going to click OK. Now I can take a look at book D and E, and I can see and compare them. So I'm just going to go back to selecting all of them. And let's say I wanted to see the books that has sold the most. So I'm just going to go to this filter, and I'm just going to sort by largest to smallest. Now I can see which books have sold the most in the order, and as well I can see if I want, I can sort it by the profit too. I can see which book has made the most profit. So now I can see that book E did the best, and book B, then book A, and so forth. So you can use this feature to sort and filter your data so you can analyze your data better. So that's another of the powerful tools in Excel. The next thing I want to show you in this tutorial is how to add a table, is to convert this into a table. So I'm just going to go to the end of my sheet here, and I'm just going to highlight everything for the table. And then I'm going to go to my home tab, and then I'm going to click this arrow that says format as table. And then I'm going to choose one of the designs that are here. I'm going to go ahead with this design. And my table has a heading. Make sure you click that if you already have a heading, and then you click OK. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, this is like a better formatting, so you can easily see and parse the data. So it creates this table for you, and you can actually create another column right here. So for example, if I had maybe profit less management fee, and let's say my management fee is $2 as well. So I'm gonna add my equal sign, and I'm gonna use this final profit that I have instead of this original profit, and then I'm going to minus it from my management fee here, and I'm gonna put the dollar signs there so that it regards it as a constant. And then I'm gonna press my enter button. And now the difference, I don't know if you just saw that, but you saw that if you can see, because I formatted as a table, I didn't have to drag down. Excel automatically did that for me because it figured out that, hey, if I put the formula in here, then it should apply to all these other rows as well. So that's one of the bonuses of adding a formatting as a table. You can add more columns if you already know your data, and if you put in the formula at the top, it can just automatically calculate the formula for the rest of your rows. The next thing I want to show you in this Excel tutorial is how you can freeze panes. So for example, you can freeze the rows and the columns. For example, when I scroll, I can't see which book is associated with these numbers. So what I can do is I can freeze this column, so when I scroll I can see which books are associated with the numbers. I'm going to just highlight the column there, and you want to go to view, and then you want to go to freeze panes, and then you want to freeze first column. And as you can see, there's this vertical line that is on the column there. So if I scroll to the right and I scroll, you can see the books are still listed here, so I can see which book is associated with each item here. And it's the same thing if I had like a long spreadsheet and I wanted to scroll down, I wouldn't be able to see the rows here, so I could just also freeze the top row as well. The next thing I want to show you is how to insert charts. So for this, I'm gonna go to sheet 5 here, and here I have the names and I have the number of days attended, and here is where I have where I've added the score as well. So I'm going to show you how you can insert a chart. So you want to go to the insert tab, and you want to first of all highlight all of the range here, and then I'm going to click on recommended charts, and then it recommends the charts that you can use. You can either use this chart, or you can use a pie chart, or you can use this chart. So you can choose any of the charts that you want to use, or you can go to all charts and you can see the different types of charts that you can use. But with this feature, it's recommending the best ones for you to use. I'm gonna go ahead with the first one, and I'm gonna click OK, and it's gonna generate the chart for me there. And I'm gonna drag it up a little bit, and you can resize the chart as needed. And there's some styles that you can choose. You can adjust the colors as needed, and you can play around with the data that's in here for the chart design. But I think it's fine as is, so I'm gonna leave it as is. And I also want to see this chart as well, and this chart has two set of data on it. So I'm gonna go to insert, and then I'm gonna go to recommend the chart. Okay, this one could work, but I'm going to use a line chart this time, and I'm gonna go ahead with this one, this first one, and then I'm gonna click OK. I'm just gonna click it and drag it to fit it where I need to fit it. And you can make adjustments to change the styles or the designs on your chart, and you can adjust the data if you want to add more data and so forth, so that you can add to your chart as well. This wraps up the end of the tutorial for Excel. I hope this was helpful for you. Please leave a comment in the comment section. Also give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet. I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and thank you so much for watching.